Welcome back. I find it interesting when a painting is done from a top overhead view as if you're looking into the subject itself. So I thought that would be a great idea for my next painting. And I wanted it to be a painting that stood out for having bold colors surrounded by neutral colors. And so I decided to use a powerful color like orange to sort of be a pop of color in a surrounding of a muted, my go-to tan color background. The reason behind doing something like this was I felt like I was stagnant in my angle when painting my still lifes that I usually do. Everything was at the same camera angle, the same distance away from the subject. So I wanted to experiment, and whenever I tend to experiment or try something new, or even something that others have done that I thought would be a cool idea, it's ended up working out for me. So here's my go at it. The thing about painting with such powerful colors or saturated colors as orange and reds and yellows is, the same rules apply as for any other painting. You want to build up the colors. As you see here, I started out with, looser brush strokes and muted down versions of that orange and red and yellow, and putting some dark brown colors in there just to make it better visually when the bright oranges sit on top of it. Yeah, I chose to have the bowl the color of the background, which, looking back, I'd rather have made my background a little bit cooler of a color. The complementary color of orange is blue, so a hint more blue in the background would have possibly made the oranges stand out more. But still, overall, I like the direction I went in, and with making the bowl white, sort of like a blank canvas for the fruit to stand out on. Overall, this was a satisfying painting because it was simply just painting circular shapes and making sure that the colors are right. It's always fun to paint a sphere because that's generally what people learn first to do when learning how to paint the 3D form in the form of a sphere. And this was overall pretty fun. The only thing is, when doing something as simple as circles, and there's a bunch of them, to make it sort of stand out, something that you have to think about doing is separation of the subject from the background with the use of texture. So I've been using a palette knife more, and I thought it'd be a great idea to use the palette knife this time for highlights. Not only would this add more abstraction in my highlights, but it'll allow me to put the paint on thicker, making it more visible texture, giving it a pop. And the oranges are textured already, so any sort of abstract marks would help the viewer see or feel as if there was texture in the orange, like in real life. I just continued this process throughout all of the oranges, just making sure that things looked natural yet intentional when making my marks. That's what I always try to do when using the palette knife, because it'd be pretty hard to remove these marks after putting it on so thick and it being white. So that's the tip of the day, I guess, is just make sure you're intentional with your marks, especially when you're applying a lot of paint, because there's kind of a no going back sort of thing when doing that. So the more I've been using the palette knife, the more I've been liking it. It just creates a separation. I keep using that word. It just brings out the subject more than would have if I were to just use a brush and apply the marks that way. Now this was one of my favorite varnishings. Applying it really brought the red out of the orange. When I was painting the orange, something I thought would be cool was you can see the undertones of red. The way I photographed the subject for my reference was I made sure there was a lot of red and yellow and translucency in the skin and the light reflecting off of a lot of areas. So I thought it turned out cool after varnishing it. If you like this, you may like my Skillshare video in the link below about applying details like how I did with that palette knife. There's different ways to apply details to everything. And if you like this video, please feel free to subscribe.